Welcome to the Nick and Matt Show, bringing the player interviews you want to hear and the hot topics you want to discuss. Recording live in studio, here's Nick and Matt.
Wow. Welcome, everybody. Episode 124. This is the Nick and Matt Show. Hope you have a little fun with that intro. I know Nick was. He's
yeah, exactly. I was going to say, I'm going to need those dollar bills back by the end of the night, but we did finally set up our new camera angle just to have a little fun with the intro. It was all of a sudden like, oh, wait, we're actually starting now. We need to pay attention. So
that's right. So episode 124, really, it's going to be a fantastic episode because the episodes where we feel like sometimes like we aren't officially to the season yet. Right, Evan? Like the season just hasn't kicked off yet.
I would not say we're in the season yet. We're still doing some like preseason or like wrap around
or just filler
preseason, whatever you want to call it. Just not the season yet.
So I guess my point is these ones where you're like, come on, guys, we're so close to the season, but we're not there. These ones turn into some good content. These are the sound bites you want to hear because it's like we're just talking about all different things. So someone's asking me if Evan's echoing, and it's very possible because we've been having some issues. So let me do something really quick as some filler talk. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. We should be fixed, I think. Okay. So Evan, did you happen to have a chance to look on ESPN the other night? Well, I think it was last night, right?
I did not. I was actually really upset with myself. I totally blanked. And then I like looked on my phone after it was over, like literally like 2 minutes after it was over. And all I saw was like, oh, wow, that was awesome. You know, we got to see it and whatnot. So always cool to see it happen. But I truly can't comment on it much at all. I looked for it this morning, though. I have ESPN Plus. So I look in the replay stuff, but I think it was a different kind of content. It wasn't shown on their Watch ESPN site. So
Nick didn't see it either. So he doesn't have much to comment on.
Mm-hmm.
I will say anybody in the listening audience, raise your hand if you watched it all of the on tour stuff by DGN. If you watched that, similar. Like they do the white backdrop interviews. Okay. So they had some really good interviews, players telling their story, not like, oh, on hole 3, I really thought my putt was going to go in. It was more just like stories to build the character. They did that for FPO. They did that for MPO. Valerie Mandujano winning Waco. They're showing the emotion, the tears. I'm playing for my grandfather who's like my father. And like, they were just really getting you to invest into the characters at the Pro Tour finale. And they didn't show hole by hole. They showed like feature highlight shots. Mm-hmm. I was drawn into it. I think it was the right way for an ESPN audience. My wife watched it with me. And when it wrapped up, I said, what'd you think of that? She's like, that was really good. So if you get the chance to watch it, it's worth it. I think the disc golf commercials, like as part of regular's ESPN disc golf package. So like it looked pretty cool. LL Bean. They had Barbasol, actual advertisements in there, which how do we get excited about advertisements? But it's good for the sport.
Yeah, if the commercial is done well, it's every single year when the Super Bowl is coming around, everyone's like, oh, I wonder what the best Super Bowl commercial is going to be. And so at times people actually do like advertisement. Now I know not everyone does in the middle of watching a YouTube video and you get slapped with the 2 15-second ads that you can't skip. It's, never fun.
We try not to do that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit more about the notoriety of having a quality brand on the broadcast, more than just you enjoy watching ads. I don't think anyone's like, ooh, let's see this LL Bean actor wear this sweatshirt. But seeing someone like LL Bean on Disc Golf Network's really cool. I know last ESPN product, there was like Chex Mix as a commercial. And we're like, oh, that's sweet. Like Chex Mix. Everybody knows Chex Mix. And whether they're on this one or not, it just gives that notoriety. Hey, people who are legit companies know disc golf exists.
That's right. And Johnsonville, they use that big, arch blow up. And it said Johnsonville, and they showed the players walking through. Like, as crazy as it is, seeing Barbasol as a sign at the Pro Tour finale and on ESPN coverage gave it credibility. It did. People are like, what? This is legit? Barbasol's like sponsoring it. Like, you know what I mean? It does do that. Yeah. When I watch pickleball, which I'm yet to try the sport, it seems entertaining and fun. I can only invest in so much.
Yeah, exactly.
But when I see big name Rolex or whoever like are sponsoring, I'm going, either this is really commercialized or it's legit. And I'm not sure which it is, but that probably happens to people with disc golf as well. So I watched it. I thought it was very enjoyable. Well done. Good job. I did miss a DGN commercial. There's been some rumbling out there that it was kind of cringy or fail. So I didn't see it.
Oh, I'm curious.
But we'll have to go and check it out. If anybody saw it, let us know in the chat what was bad about it.
I mean, I think having those sponsors like Barbasol, Johnsonville, even LL Bean, if people that aren't disc golfers are just scrolling through ESPN and they actually see this coverage, they can see, you know, if an event is sponsored by Discraft or Innova, if you're not into disc golf, you might not have any idea who that is. And so to have something like Barbasol where, you know, people who shave consistently might be using Barbasol, or like if Gillette ever came into it, it just kind of gives that brand awareness, and also, like you were saying, the notoriety of this being a legitimate disc golf event.
You know what else I noticed? This was not promoted a lot. It was literally a week or two prior. Hey, check it out. It's on the schedule. No. Because of the chat I see coming in that says, I don't think we should put much, I missed it, but so much emphasis, or what does it say? Where did it say that? I miss it. We shouldn't put much on this, much weight.
I don't really think we should put much weight on ESPN broadcasts.
I finally got that out. And I want to say, if you go back and listen to all of our episodes, at some point we say that same thing. Like, this is not put your eggs in a basket and say this is all riding on it at all. In fact, I think we're at a place where we're like, who cares? Like, it's been on ESPN before. I think what it does is it exposes an audience to more of it being legitimate. That's all it does. It's not our gold ticket to a better future. I do not think that. So, what were you going to say, Evan?
I totally agree with that. It's like having it be on ESPN once isn't this giant boom that's going to make millions of people come and play disc golf. It's the same thing about ads as that we're talking about. You don't just see an ad once and be like, oh, that's my product for life. I'm going to use that product every day of my life. But it's kind of the repeated seeing it every so often. You know, disc golf has been on ESPN about once a year, maybe twice a year. And that's a great start. Maybe we get to a point where we're once a month. Maybe we're getting on other channels, and people come back year after year and see it on that one day scrolling by, and it just sticks in their brain another year, and then they see it more, and then they hear their friends talking about it. They're like, oh, I saw that scrolling through the channels. Just little things like that can have a really big impact over time, and I think this is exactly that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so everyone has different opinions on it. Back in the day, we would have lost our minds over it being on ESPN because it was that to us. I remember Nate Doss. He was the first ever to be featured on ESPN, especially in the top 10.
With the Ace, right?
Yeah, at Memorial, Fountain Hills.
Yep.
So anyways, I thought it was really well done. I think it was, and I think people that were watching through ESPN, again, it just exposes them to it being more legitimate than maybe they thought.
We realistically, we've seen the massive boom in disc golf take place over the last couple of years. And I know one of the ways that I kind of see it in my own personal life is, one, seeing these bigger sponsors finally come into the sport. And, you know, that's all thanks to the higher ups in our sport, pushing the professional scene in that way. But then also when you talk to someone about, you know, what do you do for your hobby or for work and stuff like that. And so if I go up to someone and I say, oh yeah, you know, I play disc golf. I travel around a decent amount over the last couple of years and I play disc golf. Before, it was, everyone always said, oh, you disco? What are you talking
disco,
about?
I know.
And I'm like, nah, like frisbee golf, whatever. They're, oh, okay. But now when you say, you know, oh yeah, I play a lot of disc golf, or, you know, one of my cousins around here in Massachusetts is a barber, and he, you know, has people coming all the time that actually play disc golf. And he's like, oh, do you know Nick Carl? And they're like, oh yeah, we know him. He, you know, hosts a podcast and everything. And it's cool to actually see disc golf being talked about a lot more than what it used to be.
Yes. All right. So wrapping that one up, intern Ben, by the way, everybody, is not here. Did you see that? I put up the overhead camera, and that's not intern Ben.
I am intern Ben tonight. So I'm in the chat with you guys, but I'm not doing anything on the producing side. That is 100% Matt. So if something fails, blame Ben.
How many times can an intern call out Evan before he's fired? No, I'm kidding.
I think once, right? That's the rule.
Intern Ben, if you're out there watching, you got to be in the comments holding it down with that Benergy. We hope you feel better. I think he is feeling better, but he's being nice to us at the show, so we'll let him do that. So yeah, if you see anybody in the chat with Nick and Matt show, that's not intern Ben.
That is me. I did say it at the beginning. That is me tonight. Yeah.
We were joking about that. He could just act like intern Ben. Bro, I'll drink a bottle of hot sauce if we get 500 likes.
Get 10 likes on the video and I'll give Nick $1,000.
But what Nick doesn't know is we have the one chip challenge in studio the Packy or whatever it is, 1 chip challenge. I don't think we're getting to it tonight, but it's just there. It's there, just lingering to know that at any time we could just come up with something as a punishment. No, that's
for Ben.
Matt and Evan.
For Matt.
Yeah.
We just have the Matt cam through the whole show. Okay.
Matt and Evan, we did something very, very fun on Saturday night. We were all involved with something incredible in the disc golf community. Now, because all I did on that was just be a contestant, I'm going to let Evan take over from here. Evan, what did we do Saturday night?
Yeah, we had a charity trivia show. It was a ton of fun. We probably about an hour and 45 minutes of just straight trivia and people talking trivia. I mean, we had Nick and Matt alongside me as guessers. They were trivia contestants, along with Tina and Eric Oakley, Hunter Thomas and Trevor Staub of Foundation, and Brian Earhart and AJ Risley, who, spoiler, they ultimately took it down. AJ's trivia knowledge, I think, blew us all away. But like, I don't want to understate how good the trivia was from all the contestants. I mean, these are some of the most knowledgeable brains in disc golf who know so much history, who all live and breathe disc golf 24/7. And the questions, we were making them tough, and we were stumping some of these players and media who, again, live and breathe disc golf 24/7. But at the same time, they were proving how smart they were at plenty of other times as well. It was I had a blast. A lot of work to get all those questions up and running, getting all the sponsors together. Again, we donated $2,500 to charity. I think that needs to be said. $1,000 went to the winner, and they even won a little bit more because of bonuses. All to charity. But I will say there's a lot to go into it. So don't expect a charity trivia show next weekend or maybe in a month.
Week.
It'll be like maybe a once a year or twice a year kind of deal. I think maybe more. We'll see.
Do you see the scroll?
Evan, don't you like charity though? I mean, this is something we should be pumping out every other week. If you're not up to it, you just might not like charity. I don't know what it is.
I just don't like charity. I only like charity like a little bit.
Is that number correct, Evan, on the bottom that's scrolling? 2,500?
Yeah, total.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good. I just punched that and I thought that's what it was. We got our ticker going on the bottom live scroll here.
Which is crazy. Like, that was way more than I was expecting. I was hoping to just hit 1,000 total, get a couple $100 to 4 different charities, but we ended up going $1,000 to the winning charity. And I think the last place finisher still donated over $300 to charity, which is so cool. Like $300, like that's a good amount to charity. That's more than like I would ever donate as a personal person. Like, that's more than I can generally afford for a charity to just.
I agree. I thought it was spectacular.
Yeah, and kind of just speaking on the charities that we did, the winning charity ended up actually being the Edge Disc Golf Program.
Spoiler.
Spoiler. Jay Yeti Redding is coming on tonight to talk more about the Edge program in the sport of disc golf. And then Matt and I were representing the Double G Craft Cherokee Children's Foundation, which is just an incredible thing we've talked about in the past before, and we'll talk about more in the future. Tina and Eric Oakley were representing You Play Disc Golf, which is another outreach program in the disc golf community of just spreading the awareness of it and getting it into local schools and stuff like that. And then the foundation guys, Hunter and Trevor, were representing the Isaiah 117 House, which is an awesome Christian organization helping out kids in needs and, just people who could use the help. This was just such a fun opportunity for disc golfers to come in. I think all of us are really, we all play disc golf, but more so have a lot of content creation in it. And I think just kind of having the 8 content creators bantering back and forth and just really enjoying a fun time, and then getting blown out of the water by AJ's actual knowledge of, oh yeah, I was there at that event and this is what happened. And then this, and this. But I'll tell you this, I like to consider myself a decently smart person when it comes to disc golf knowledge. Now, I don't go too far back, but past 2009, 2008, 2007, I don't know too much before that. But since 2012, 2013, I have a decent amount of disc golf knowledge. But the second you put a timer on a question and say, hey, what is the answer to this? I'll either misread the question or just completely blank on the answer. And it's just funny. It was,
Timer makes it tough, dude. It's quicker. 30 seconds or 45 seconds is fast when you're asked a question about what time on what date with what person. It's tough.
What was go ahead.
And we did that lightning round too, which was incredible. That was hard for me. Like, I was like, I don't want to mess up because you only have 45 seconds for 7 questions.
So they need to go check it out.
Super good. Yeah. I will say one question I want to dive into was that I was just so impressed that AJ knew was the first pond jump at Maple Hill.
I was frustrated.
That was one. I was talking to Steve. Steve gave me this question. I'm like, that is too hard. Like
Yeah.
that's just too hard. Like I don't like that's gonna be so like I have no clue. I never even like had a whiff of that. It wasn't like oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. But I put out that question. I was like, all right, we'll have a tough one. It's worth the most points. AJ was like, yep, I got it.
So
Easy.
Very impressive. Kudos to him. Like golf clap. Like it was good. I'm frustrated because in my brain I know that one. And this is not how the trivia is, but had you given a 4-choice multiple choice, I see Kevin McCoy, I'm picking it. Like that's not to be like, hey, I'm so smart. It's to be like, man, these trivia questions are like, it's out there for the picking, if you will. But you got to recall at the right time. And for AJ, he was able to do that multiple times. I feel like Brian kind of did that so he could sit back. Brian was like, I'm just going to sit here, and if he feels confident, I'm just going to keep
just
my
let
mouth
him roll
shut.
with it. Yeah.
So, anyways, it's worth checking out. It's the video that was streamed live before this one. People that are commenting are saying they love it. They want more of it. It was fantastic. Totally different than what you've seen anywhere else on YouTube before. Check it out. It's fun trivia.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're getting closer to the interview here with our first time, actually. It'll be the first
our featured guest of the night.
Stick around. We've got Judge That Disc Golfer after the interview with Jay. Actually, he doesn't know this, but he's going to help us judge a disc golfer. I think he's got enough experience and insight to be able to do that. And why not throw him out there to the wolves and see what happens? So that's what we're going to do. We lined somebody up to do this live with us tonight, to be judged. And in full disclosure to everybody, they wanted to be. They volunteered as tribute. So this is totally fair game. Before we get into the interview, we have about 3 minutes here. I wanted to ask, because we just had like probably a lot of the North America has had this, but a very cold, I don't know if you call it snap, but it was cold. It was like, it started out like 32 degrees the day before, and then it went down overnight to like -10 where I was. So 42-degree drop with wind chills. We got down to like -40 something degrees. That's pretty cold. That set some records for this time of the year for us. Mount Washington. I know I'm filled with trivia myself tonight. It's home to the most extreme weather on the planet. It
had the fastest wind
record.
speed up until like 1994 and the fastest in the U.S.
Yeah,
very proud of that as a New Hampshire resident. Again,
200 and something miles, 17. Or my son would tell me I'm wrong. He's probably watching it upstairs right now. Dad, you're wrong. But extremely windy. But here's the point: they actually beat their coldest ever wind chill of -110 degrees.
Yeah, that's the coldest for the whole country, by the way. That's colder than the previous record was Alaska.
I was just gonna say somewhere like outrageous.
How long can you stand in that? Obviously, it's not very long, but I'm curious. Like for 2 seconds, I'd be curious what that feels like. And I hate the cold. I hate the cold more than anything.
Like skinny dip in the cold.
No,
like
I'd still be fully layered up. I just want to just feel the coldness on my face really quick and then run back inside. But
okay.
Probably
so let's ask this question before we get to the interview then. With that temperature mindset, cold, what's the coldest, like, and this isn't a big conversation, what's the coldest you ever played disc golf in? I'll just start by saying I'm pretty sure for me it's like in that the temperatures were probably feeling -17, -20. That's probably what it felt like. You guys done any colder than that?
Yeah, Team Challenge years and years ago. Buff was playing Burgess at Buff, and it was in the negatives, and then the wind chill made it feel a lot colder, and that was the most miserable day of disc golf. But it ended up being fun, just hanging out with everyone afterwards. So it ended up being a good day. But to actually go out and play in that was absolutely miserable. So probably -15, -20 with the wind chill. I think if any Burgess guys are in this or any Buff guys, I might be able to tell you.
So cold, Evan, you done colder than that for disc golf specifically?
I think I've done single digits, but it was like sunny out, and so it wasn't even bad. But I'll give a shout out to the MVP Open Hampside that one year when it was snowing a bunch, and I think like just my hand, like it wasn't that cold. It was probably like high 20s, but it was just windy.
That ain't nothing.
Wasn't that in May?
Okay. It was in April,
and it just blizzarded on you guys that morning.
It was like,
Matt was sending me
6
pictures.
inches, 7 inches.
Yeah.
But it was just like super windy, like hole 11, you're on the far side up on top of a hill, and it was like a 4-card backup. And I just remember like you were cold. Like my hands were so cold that it was hard to grip a disc. You're like, I remember holding it to my chest to try to warm up my hand.
Winter blend.
So, but When I woke up that morning, like 20 miles away or something, there was like a half an inch of snow, and it wasn't that cold. I could have gone with like just thin gloves. Didn't realize there's that much snow, so that's on me. But
I have broken a disc in cold weather. Now, part of it was the age of the disc. It was a limited edition Comet that I love. Part of it was the cold. The disc get harder, more brittle. I threw it, hit a tree, and it just broke into pieces.
Yeah.
Like pieces went flying. So, I mean, we're used to playing in the cold. I've played in deep snow. For anybody listening here that's not from a cold area where there's snow and things of that nature, I've played in at least 24 inches of snow, and I want to say it was probably closer to 30. Like fresh. Like it snowed a storm the weekend of. We went out and played in what we call a team challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're sticking ribbons on there. You're doing construction chalk. So when it dives into the snow and it goes 2 or 3 feet under the snow, you can go and look for it.
Have somewhat of an idea of where
crazy.
Yeah.
But
you can work around it, but that's just not fun in my opinion. I'm going to say it.
No.
Like,
but
I'm a fair weather golfer at this point.
I will say this.
Yep,
if I'm
same.
going out for a round of disc golf with you guys, I probably would say no. If I'm in a competitive environment where the other team has the same exact challenge, we're going to do it better. Like that's my mindset. I'm like, we're going to do it better. Yeah. And so there is an element of fun. And I have that memory now of like, I've done that before, but yeah, that's not my preference, but we'll see. Judge that disc golfer tonight.
Yeah.
That question's going to come up. Maybe we should change it from like snowing to be like, it was a blizzard with 3 feet of snow.
Yeah.
All right. We've made it to this point of the show where we're actually going to go ahead and bring in our guest tonight. And PDGA actually lists him with Yeti Redding. We got to find out more about that. Let's bring him in. What is up, Mr. Yeti Redding? How are you doing, man? Wonderful. Oh, hold on. Intern Ben's not here. I got to turn your mic on. Try that again. Do that for us again. Come on. You know?
Can you hear us?
There we go. All right. You guys are going to, listening audience that's driving around their cars or at the workplace, you're going to have to come in and check it out. He's doing some awesome Yeti things. If you want, I could probably try to adjust your camera to be more centered, or you can adjust your camera so that you're more centered. It's up to you. I think the manhandling of the camera is probably, there you go. Oh, perfect. There we go. So let's talk.
There we go.
Let's talk, Jay.
Yeah, hey guys, how y'all doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Doing great. We're doing great. We're cleaning up after a big ice storm weekend. You guys were talking about being cold and having snow up in the Northeast and things, but Texas got walloped again. It's almost 2 years to the date where we had that massive cold snap that basically took out all the state of Texas power grid for a while. And this time we had ice, and ice is definitely something we don't experience so much around here. In 2007 was the only time that we even had something close to this, and I think we doubled the ice in my area here than we had then. So unfortunately, it's been rough on cleanup and things. My chainsaw's been running a bunch, but man, can't get disc golf off the mind. So we're still thinking about that all the time.
It's a good thing you're on a disc golf podcast because we're going to be talking a lot about that tonight.
In fact, did you happen to see that we did this disc golf charity trivia game the other night? Did you see that or hear about it?
I sure did. In fact, Des and I tuned into that while we were having our granola and yogurt this morning. So
nice.
Great job with all that. That was pretty fun to watch and a lot of great questions to play along with. And most of all, 4 charities benefited from that. And I think my boys, Brian Earhart and AJ Risley, not to give any spoilers, but
you can't.
No, we
already did.
I thought you already did.
Yeah, so they raised money for the charity of choice being Educational Disc Golf Experience Edge. Been around a very long time. In fact, go ahead and give us some of the not the inside information. We want the facts. We want what has happened over the years. Give us it all the way up till now. I think I heard the number millions of students introduced, but give us where we're at now at this point. I think it's a 20-year anniversary.
Absolutely is. I mean, the quick, cool history is in 2002 at the United States Disc Golf Championship, I was a qualified player representing state there, and Des Redding was the only female participant having qualified winning a major. And So with us two in the field, Des happened to have none other than Harold Duvall on her card. And as those two got to know each other, and of course, Innova Champion as well, and wanted to know, oh, you guys are educators and top level disc golfers? Like, wow, what do you think about getting disc golf into schools? And I had already been teaching at an alternative school where I introduced disc golf and just saw like, wow, we're really connecting with a group of kids that didn't follow the same path that Des and I did, which was varsity level high school sports all the way up to Division I, full scholarship athletics. But we knew that there were so many more kids that aren't even close to a path like that need a recreational outlet, and disc golf in the schools was an obvious fit. So 2002 is kind of where the brainchild happened together. Throw in Dave Denapace agreeing with it, and a educational specialist, John Lixit, who ended up becoming a PDGA board member for a stint as well. And we had a great foundational team. And in 2003, so 20 years ago, we founded the corporation that's an official 501c3 national charity, and Edge was born. So yeah, millions of kids at this time have been introduced to disc golf. We have thousands of school partners in all 50 states, several countries as well. But as far as like a true lightweight, all-purpose kids type of a disc, well over 100,000 of those flying around in the world. We've got clubs going. We've got schools competing against each other. A lot of the things that people have been kind of talking about and dreaming about, Edge has been busy for 20 years, kind of making this happen in the background. And, we love it when stuff like what y'all did with the trivia show comes to light, because it introduces a whole new group of people to what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
As a nonprofit, there's not a huge budget for putting out advertisements and blowing the horn and things. So we always rely on people. We're a 100% publicly funded charity.
Yeah, and I think there's some numbers included with that. $215,000 to this point has been awarded to schools around the country. Is that correct? $215,000.
That is just one simple program. And if you were to give me a platform to say, hey, how can I get involved? I'll just touch on that.
Yeah.
This is called the Tournament Charity Program. So last year we partnered with 260 PDGA events from around the country. They all agreed to use Edge as their official charity. We don't limit them on whatever they would like to do, whether it's $1, $2, $5, $10 per head out of the entry fee. Maybe have a group restaurant or a group donate lunch on behalf of Edge, and then sell plates, drawings if they're legal in your area. There's a lot of ways to raise funding, and so that was just from this program. Just this year last year in 2022, this program raised $52,000, in which we awarded 48 schools in 28 states, a total of 32,000 of that at this point. So yeah, that's our total just for that program, 215,000.
Yeah, and then I'm seeing a number here, the PDGA memberships, money that has come from that, and well over 100,000 there too. So I mean, we're talking money, but people sometimes have tangible dollars in their mind. They're like, wow, a lot's happening. And so that's 260 schools, plus I'm looking at numbers here, all over 512 grants. I mean, there's so much benefit happening through Edge, and it's just so well established over all the years. It's probably going to go on forever. Am I incorrect? This is 20th year anniversary.
Yeah, I mean, we're to the point now where I know it sounds like a long time, but you can just watch what other groups are doing, and everyone's just trying to get their footing. There's a lot of charity needs out there. I mean, 501c3s run the gamut from the Red Cross, St. Jude's, some of these incredible life-changing immediately type of things. We're on the educational side, and if anybody's been a teacher or been around a teacher, and we all have, because we were in schools, that the public education system is one of the areas that are desperately in need of any kind of funding, period, let alone from the government. Mm-hmm. So when you break that down one more level, if anybody's going to cut a budget in school, unfortunately, it goes to the arts, music, education, as far as physical goes. So PE, always looking for something to help them out. And PE teachers are big kids, so you introduce the new game to them, and they're on it like wildfire. And disc golf, of course, is we just got to get it in front of them, and it becomes kind of, wow, my kids would love this, or I've got room at my school, or I used to play ultimate in college, or nowadays there's a lot of disc golfers out there that we're seeing cycle through now that actually maybe, I've had a couple kids that have played in the amateur world championship that have come up to Des and I and said, hey, you came and did a assembly at my elementary school when I was super young.
Nice.
Yeah, you're very likable as a human being. We have people in the chat. We had people commenting that, oh, I got to play around with him here, and man, what a good time that was. And so I'm sure there's all different, feelings that you have. Maybe we can talk about them later in regards to just disc golf's journey to where it is. We can put that as a box later in the conversation here, but people are very happy with you. And I think there was a little bit of transition, right? With Des moving around a little bit to PDGA and you kind of filling in this full-time role as the Edge coordinator or whatever your role. What is your role with Edge? What is your title?
I'm officially the executive director at this point, but we didn't carry that role, even though we've been an integral component since the beginning as co-founders. You gotta remember too. At that point, we were both Des, even way above me, elite professionals on tour. I mean, she's in the heart of her winning world championships. I mean, she got first or second for 9 years in a row. And I'm pretty sure a few of those seconds were because we were working so hard on other things in the background, as you hear a lot of our top professionals these days starting to feel that same thing that Des and I have been doing for 20 plus years. It's like, wow, it's really actually hard to juggle sponsors and course design and where I'm eating and drinking and still doing stuff for, say, a major organization that you have created.
Yeah, so I know you've wore a lot of hats in disc golf. This being one of the hats, you said executive director, if you will, of Edge. What is that like? Not having just, I'm assuming, not being just independently wealthy. Maybe you are. Maybe you can correct me on that, but I think our conversations have said otherwise. What is that like, being like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and all these things. But where does, and I don't, before we get into those other ones, where does educational disc golf fit into that? Where you're like, this is what I want to focus my time on. It's probably not the most lucrative thing, but you've done it for so long.
Yeah, but so that's a great introduction to it, because in the end, Des and I found disc golf in college, playing at a high level in sports. And so this was our recreational outlet. Let off some steam from all the pressure of learning plays and figuring out, what time am I going to work out for the third time today, and things like that. And disc golf, of course, the joy was implanted as a seed, the integral flight of the Frisbee, the spirit of the game. And this is what we really wanted to share with everybody. I mean, even our friends, like, hey, I don't care if you care about playing on a tournament ever, but check this out. Let's go camping. Let's play some disc golf. So early on, touring and being that collegiate athlete, I guess, that found disc golf and success at the pro tour level, we knew immediately, like, wow, we've got a long way to go. And just like all sports, we've got to start at the foundation, and we got to build this pyramid. So eventually, someday, we're going to be floating these top professionals that dedicate so much of their time and life and energy, and so it can be a sustainable career for them, where they actually probably don't have to juggle so many things to make it all work. But you're right. Yeah, absolutely. Des and I, neither one of us come from money backgrounds, but luckily we did get our colleges both completely paid for. We spent a couple years, in the workforce. We created our own business in the summer, actually selling Italian ices at art fairs and music festivals, and that's where we rediscovered disc golf after we had checked back out from college. And once we rediscovered it and found the triangular beveled edge disc and all the magic that provides, I mean, forget about it.
Okay.
Sucked you right back in.
I want to give you an opportunity to say whatever you'd like to say, in closing thoughts about Edge. But the first thing before we get to that closeout for Edge, you got to tell me, man, what is it that's special about disc golf where you passionately believe that introducing children or youth students to this game is actually bettering them. I mean, all sports probably do that at some level, but like, what is it about disc golf? Is it just that there was a missing link there, or like, do you actually see something? What is it about disc golf?
Yeah, so I think that's a multifaceted answer, with the frisbee and the flight of the simple airfoil being a magical connection to all of us. And then, we really can go deep into our DNA and our historical status and be like, you know what, we used to survive by throwing objects at things and, food. So somewhere ingrained in our DNA is actually that desire to actually, maybe not plastic at metal, but throw things at things. It's in there somewhere. So I think we tap into that a little bit. Then you start dealing with the pure enjoyment of being in nature, being around your friends, being as intense or as loose as you want to be for activity. And it just kind of takes care of itself. And what the kids don't realize, one of the things that I did as a alternative school teacher, and I taught social studies during the day, and we had 1 hour of PE at the end. I had access to a bus. So once I wrote a grant and got a couple targets, and we could go and take these to, because we didn't have but an asphalt parking lot, but we could take them to another school that actually had some good space, and started setting up a couple targets and a couple trees that acted like targets. And we would get these kids into their social peer groups. So now they're not just playing a big team game, or even in kickball, they would start fights or smack talk each other in their peer groups. They're socializing, they're having fun. Their level of competition could be very either intense or very loose.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't even realize it, but they just walked 1.5 miles for PE.
Yeah.
And these are the same kids that you can't even get to walk around the track without looking down and stuffing their feet, things like that. So that's, to me, as an educator and a recreational specialist, just bing, 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 disc golf is all those things.
I'm on the same page as you. I mean, like I dipped my toes in the junior side for a few years and really tried to do that and push that. There's only so much I could do having 4 kids of my own, kind of tapered off on that for a bit. But Nick, you had something.
Yeah, I think one of the main things is, when a school kind of comes to Edge, how do they come to Edge and say, hey, this is what I want you to do? And then what's kind of the rundown of, what happens when your group of people go to the school?
Yeah, great question, Nick, for sure. So our approach has always been like, well, how do we maximize this? We've got a small team. We're nonprofit. If we had a lot of funding, we probably would have, hired a group of professionals early on. But we decided that, teachers all learn from curriculums. So we really concentrated on building a world-class physical education curriculum following national physical education standards, and then tying in, of course, knowing that budgets get cut in PE. Well, the administrators want to hear about the math and the science and all the STEM subjects that are being brought to physical education. Disc golf is a home run left and right there. We're talking about physics of the disc. Yeah. We're talking about math and statistics and, creating different type of algorithms there. And then we start talking about the value structure of creating good people and sportsmanship and things like that, and stewards of the environment. And it was easy to connect these different classroom linked activities into our Edge program. So to follow up with Nick's question, we spent we used to attend the National Principals Conference and the National Physical Education Conference every year, and they're very expensive to attend. But this is where we got to meet and see all the leaders from the different states. And we spent those first couple of years for 8 hours a day. Here was the conversation. Hey, how you doing? Have you ever seen one of these targets? Do you know about disc golf? Nobody did. Okay, have you ever heard of Frisbee golf? Oh, a few people. Okay, you know what golf is. You know what a Frisbee is. And then we would sit there and build them in, and eventually, and this would take a long time. So we really didn't see a ton of people when other people were passing by going, oh, yeah, a bird feeder, new grill, whatever it was. And then it didn't take too long before now it was like, yeah, this is disc golf. Yeah. And nowadays, we almost have to set appointments up because we want to meet with the leaders and things. And again, the teachers, as soon as they experience it. So we went out and, we do a lot of full training sessions for entire districts. Des and I, we work so good together. We've been married for 27 years. We've been, joined at the hip since we were in college, and we're a great team, two-headed monsters, what we call ourselves. And two of us can train over 100 teachers at one time, which is, sounds overwhelming, but there's a lot of tricks and techniques. And we're getting to the point where we're training other people to do the same thing. So that's some of the things we have to look forward to. But just this last Saturday, we were down in San Antonio at the Northeast Independent School District. They let us come in because we're filming some segments for our new awesome 3rd edition digital online curriculum. And we trained 25 new teachers just on Saturday. And they cannot wait to get their own packages and teach disc golf now after that.
Well, I guess kind of to wrap up what I have to talk about, Edge, is what is the best way for everyone listening right now? How can we support Edge a little bit more?
Yeah, well, I mean, I hate to be like National Public Radio or something, but it's the dollars that you give. Now, truly, I mean, believe it or not, $1, $10, $100. We have some people that have a recurring monthly kind of give in. Not really, we don't have a Patreon, but it's something like that. Through PayPal. They're great to work with. There's Facebook type of things. Unfortunately, Amazon Smile is going away, so I won't even touch base on that. But those are some easy ways to get involved. Otherwise, if you're in a part of a club or you run tournaments, this tournament charity program is an absolute way to go and see the immediate impact right in your own community.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to give to the educational disc golf experience. You mentioned the curriculum. It's in its 3rd edition. That takes a lot of work to even get the first out there. You have a lot of major sponsors, people who would recognize the United States Disc Golf Championship, Innova Champion Disc, the PDGA Discraft Prodigy, National Amateur Disc Golf Tour, Bushnell, new to the sport. Is there anything else you need in closing out this conversation on Edge that you'd like to say or talk about?
So I will touch on another way too. So, from the beginning, Edge would never have been created without the generous, incredible kindness of Tim Selinsky, Harold Duvall, Dave Dunapace, the guys, and Gavin out there, the guys that run Innova. They saw immediately like, wow, this is something that may be bigger than all of us eventually, and something we need to support. And so to this day, Innova supplies. If we need something tangible, they want to listen to it. They help us out with warehouse, fulfillment, all these big price things that would be very difficult for a smaller nonprofit. But we've grown beyond, we want other manufacturers involved. We've had some great work over the last 2 years with Bob Julio and Discraft, doing some great things with us. Prodigy Discs is donating discs every year. We're putting those in the packages and the club programs. People can support us right now with this beautiful disc that we've got with the Ledgestone group with Nate Heinold out there. But this is a fundraiser that our
disc.
friends out at Reaper Discs out in California, they donated their artists to do the artwork. You can find these discs, these full color buzzes that go 100% to support Edge through Ledgestone. So that's a good way. And of course, anytime you support any of those other sponsors, USDGC grip equipment is coming through huge this year. Zuka, Groundbound, local Austin company, everything that you do to support them and say, hey, I like what you're doing with Edge. Make sure they know some of the reasons why you're supporting these groups, and that makes them very happy and feel good about what they are doing with their charitable side like Edge.
Fantastic. All that you've done there. I know you probably not like, thank you, Matt, go on and on about how good you are, but people are needed to run these positions. And what you've done over the years has been something that's foundational to what disc golf is now. People know Edge. It is, I don't know if the right word's ubiquitous, but it's like you hear disc golf, you think of charity, you think of Edge. So good job there. We're happy to talk about it on this channel anytime. Let's go ahead and transition now. Jay Yeti Redding, the disc golfer. I was just watching some of the Marshall Street Champion stuff, and I was watching you throw off hole one, and I think that was 20 years ago, somewhere in that vein. So you've been around disc golf for a while. Let's just kick it off with, where did the name Yeti come from?
It's kind of over a beer story, but I mean the origins though come before people even knew what a Yeti was. Des and I were avid backpackers before we were disc golfers, and when I mean backpacking, yeah, we would do a lot of weekend trips, but we would load up our food and dehydrate all of our other food and send them to small post office in South Dakota and Wyoming and everywhere else, and we'd hike for weeks at a time. We've never completed like the Appalachian Trail or something like that, but believe me, we were heading there. If disc golf hadn't become our walking and hiking outlet, we would have been in that mode for sure. So when you go out into the national forest for a long time, the rangers kind of give you a permit. They want you to check in once in a while when you take a hike, and there's some check-in boxes and things. You don't have to use your real name. It's a safety factor kind of a thing. So I was the Iowa Corn Yeti, and Des was Prairie Twirl. So
Wow.
that was kind of what we called ourselves, for a while. But the funny connection to disc golf was the very first A-tier I ever played in Madison, Wisconsin. They had a temporary course, and of course I was just an amateur. Loved going up to Madison for fishing, canoeing, mountain biking. Not disc golf though. Wow, we found this disc golf is in Wisconsin. So they had a temporary course called the Monster Course, and I think I showed up at a horrible time to kind of get to my hole. I'm like, oh man, the TD comes up, saw me all panicked. I'm like, hey, where's hole 11? And he's like, oh, buddy. He goes, you're way up there on the ridge. He goes, you got to take the trail all the way around. And I'm about to blow the 2-minute horn, brother. I think you're going to miss a hole or two. I was like, no, I got this. And I went and I ran straight up this incline. I broke some branches and trees on my way up. And my group was like, holy mackerel, we thought there was a Yeti coming out of the woods. Yep. And there it was. And of course, they started calling me that all night at the players' party while we all pounded Capital City Brewing beers all night. And it kind of stuck for disc golf.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow. Yeah, that is incredible. And it's funny. I'm playing that in my head. Great storytelling. I'm playing in my head. Like as a disc golfer, there's nothing more like motivating than you're going to miss your first hole or two of a tournament. You're just like, gotta go, whatever it takes. I mean, I'd locked my disc golf bag in a car once and they're like yelling 2 minutes. And I'm like, we're going to break the window. Like I'm not missing a hole, it was. So thank you for telling that story. That's really cool. So you've served on the PDGA for a long time, 2005, right before I started playing disc golf, actually, right before, until just recently, as of last year, not last year now, I guess it's a full year ago, 2021, but the PDGA Competition Committee. We could talk forever about a million different stories, but I think two that'd be interesting to me are like, what is it like on the inside? Like, as in like, you don't have to say names unless you want to, but like, what is it like on the inside where like contentious? Like, do people get really, really like pound their fists? No, we can't change this rule. It's important. Like, does that happen?
Right. Yeah. So I'll just give you a quick, like, how did I get here as well? And it's the same thing, it's like when you're experiencing the sport at the highest level and you're like, ooh, man, we got a long way to go. You can sit in the parking lot and you can complain about it and blah, 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 blah. Or you put your work gloves on and your hard helmet on and you say, hey, what can I do to help this thing along? And so I just joined as a simple committee member. And, we found that there was a lot of things that we can work on. So that's kind of how I think people join committees and kind of get things accomplished. I will say that behind the scenes, the PDGA is a bunch of incredibly hardworking individuals. And you better believe that every single person on staff has disc golf as a passion project in their own life. And I think those are the people that we want actually making a living, doing things with disc golf. So that being said, then you turn into like, well, now that the organization has grown, those of us that have paid attention, and I'm not alone, you guys are there too. I mean, we could have said the PDJ could have hired 30 people, 15 years ago. and they're playing catch up, and so now they're playing incredible catch up. And I think all organizations are. I mean, we are as well with Edge. We're hiring people, but we don't have the funds to hire people at full wages with benefits and things. So the PDJ is now to that level, and I think they're starting to really catch up to it. So, on the committee level, I've seen the committees go from being a secondary thought with not being utilized at all in their capacity, whether you can name the committee. There was at one point where we kind of did an assessment of the committees, and 80% of them were, I'd say we would call them almost defunct, because they weren't meeting regularly. They weren't putting out agendas. They weren't being connected with their board liaisons. And I will say the modern PDGA has realized that, the board can't do it themselves. One of the greatnesses and backlashes with the board of directors is that they have a high turnover.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're losing some of that continuity of a group that's like, we've got a vision and a great thing that's happening. And then all of a sudden somebody else changes, or a few people get in and out, and those things get convoluted. But then guess who has been around the whole time? It's the committees. There's a bunch of us that have been serving for 10 years plus. So the committee, if it's a really functioning organization, the committee should be doing a lot of the heavy lifting, a lot of the brainstorming, and then the board liaisons take that back to the board. They've got proof in the pudding. They've got some testing from the committees, and the board almost starts becoming, never a rubber stamp. But, if the committee says in youth and education, the youth committee says this, the rules committee says this, the competition committee says this, probably have done their diligence. If it follows somewhat of where the master plan is, the committee should be used a lot more than they do.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on teams myself, part of committees, part of organizations, and every now and then you get people that are just you have to believe the best intentions. You have to believe the best intentions about everybody on team, but the passion rises sometimes, and you see people that are like, I like you, but I'm not down with what you're saying. And I was just curious if that happens often. I'm sure most of it's not that way.
Yeah, we have heated discussions, but for the most part, we're all have some of those same attributes of being good listeners, absorbing the information, knowing that each of us are coming from different components, and that's where a good committee has a lot of different viewpoints. And then, we go into a democratic side of that, where we take votes on things. And I've had plenty of good ideas that have flown out the window. I'll give you this one. This one's I beat on this one for a while, and this is just a simple one, but we used it a whole bunch last year, and I'm very proud of it. And that was just like, how do we officially start a tiebreaker in a playoff for disc golf? And I talked about this for a long time, because I said, you know what? It depends on how we are considering a playoff. Is this a continuation of the round, or no, it's not? The tournament is over, but you cannot finish a tournament with a tie for first place. So therefore, it's a after the fact tiebreaker. So hot rounds shouldn't matter. These two people fought 1, 2, 5 rounds, and they ended up tying the entire event together. So it's not that Jimmy's got the hot hand. It should be some simple process that dictates the actual order. And I fought for this, and I got shut down. I finally got off my soapbox. And thank you to Alan Beaver, Hall of Famer out of North Carolina, Park and Rec guy forever, sportsman for his entire life. He wrote into the competition committee and said, why don't you guys deal with this playoff thing? I don't think it's fair. Boom. So I had an ally, and we rode that through, and the board even actually shut it down, because they just didn't quite grasp the athletic sense of like, no, it's really important. If somebody flips a coin and it's like, oh, okay, you happen to win it, so do you want to go first or second? Well, this is an obvious forehand shot, and I'm a forehand specialist. Or, oh, that's really windy. I'd like to see what you do with this. Think about 17 at USDGC. So we changed it. It's a simple, you can draw out of the hat like golf does. 1, 2, 3. There it is. You can flip a disc, but heads, it's Jimmy. Tails, it's Billy. And there you go. So simple, but it took a long time to even accomplish something as simple as that. But yet here we saw, let's just go back to Gannon and Drew. That was one of the first places that it got put out there. I mean, that was incredible. They played it fairly. The next hole they had to switch. I mean, talk about the competition committee is all about fairness in sports. I mean, the rules are the rules, and not every rule has to do with competition. I mean, excuse me, not everything in competition has to deal with a rule, but everything that's a rule has to do with competition.
Well, it's a hot topic out there right now, but being a part of the competition committee and leaving, was it the end of 2021?
Yep. I just I became so busy, but yes.
Yeah. And so I know, we talk about what we might talk about tonight, and you'd kind of brought up maybe women in sports in general. Do you have anything that you'd like to mention about that topic? It doesn't have to be anything. It's just, I know that's a topic that's out there and you were a part of the committee.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I guess from the committee side of things, that is such a humongous issue. We're like, what does the board want from us? And in the end, the board also realized that, this is such a big issue that not only does it affect competition, but we better talk to doctors and medical and science. We should probably talk to women who are affected directly, and any other stakeholders, so there's a lot of people going into the same boat there. So, I can't talk about what the competition committee actually did with this latest group of rulings because I was out of there by then. And that kind of stuff was just getting going. But believe me, I've got my own opinions and things. I mean, I guess I'll just make a statement that, I came up with this pretty quickly when I was kind of just watching everything transpire. And I came up with this, and I've talked to quite a few people and even doctors and things are like, that's actually pretty spot on. To me, there's obviously two humongous sides of opinion out there, and they fall into on the sides, they fall into hatred and vitriol. So these are folks that are never ever going to see another way because I have some internal issues. I mean, hatred. I mean, come on. On the other side of that, they have what I call blind empathy. So empathy is when you can put yourself into somebody else's shoes and you kind of can feel their feelings and you can kind of understand what they're going through and things like that. And empathy is strong. It's just as strong as hatred. But blind empathy is kind of like, you know what? This person is who they are for who they are, and blah, 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 and nothing else matters. And, and I think somewhere in the middle of those, if we're talking about sports, it's fairness in sports. Sports try to create rules that affect outcome fairly. You either break a rule because it's a rule and you're going to see if you get caught or know the consequences, or the rules just happen like, oh, yep, you guys happen to just, jump off sides there. You didn't mean to, but that is a rule and we're trying to keep it fair here. So, that's where fairness in sports, and that's where it gets really sticky, right? Because now all of a sudden we're talking about, the medical science, and having medical science in the middle of the stadium or the court is, it's a whole new realm. It's not a whole new realm, but it's a current new realm. So if you're dealing with differences between, and that's, to me, I think that's where my main issue is that, this is an entirety for medicine and science. This is where I think the whole medical community needs to kind of come back together and decide like, well, we understand there's fluidity between sex and gender, or are the two, innately unique to each other. And I think that's kind of where, we need more work there. All I do know is that the policies that were created currently, they're not really solving or helping out any group. It's really not. It's taking transgendered players and putting them into different categories of like, you can play, but you can't play. And it's based on stuff that a lot of we still don't know a lot of, I mean, on on one side, could we learn an incredible amount from, maybe studying the issue a little bit more while it's happening, or, having some timelines and some basis. I know we're groundbreakers, right? We want to be inclusive. That's what disc golf is.
Right.
But there's also some issues out there, and the last thing that I'll bring up is really just women in general. There are some things that women that go through that nobody else does. And, we're talking about menstruation, and we're talking about menopause, things like that. Those are just completely things that happen, for women, that a male will never experience. And I just that's where I'll kind of leave it. I mean, I kind of sit there myself, thinking about some of these things, and I watched the beautiful all 4 women by women, really cool, the Wildflower Tour that's happening here in Texas, and there was 107 women getting together, and what an amazing experience and time. But if personally, and I could be off base here, but I think about, like, well, if a woman has a period for a week, and there are 100 women, wouldn't that mean 25% of the women are dealing with something kind of extraneous that
Like I say, I'm not qualified officially to talk about that. I am married to a woman, but
me either. But I experience and see.
It's real.
I've been around.
It's real. You're right.
Time.
Absolutely, it's real. And I just want to say this. Thank you for your gracious response to that question. It's at the Nick and Matt show. We've had this opportunity to talk and to say things. And when you're in a public stage of the disc golf or internet, the YouTube, the Reddits, all I want to say is what you said is great. It's your answer, right? It's who you are. Everybody has an answer. It can be tough to put your voice out there, to let everybody hear it and analyze it the way they want to hear it. So I just say the way I heard it was great. Thank you for your answer. Let's see. You have a lot of things we could talk about, as in like just who you are. You've been on tour for a long time. There's 2 things that I'm interested in. One, in our conversations, you kind of alluded to the fact that misinformation abounds inside of disc golf media. And I wanted to give you that opportunity to kind of just elaborate. Technically we're disc golf media, and I'm sure at some level we have misinformation too, but let us have it, Jay. What are you talking about?
Well, it's I don't even know it's misinformation. I mean, it's just, to me, it's an incredible time in our sport where we've got more eyeballs, more media, video, podcasting, all these incredible things. Statmando, these are all phenomenal pushes towards exposing and growing disc golf. And so I just think it's we miss some of the institutional knowledge, some of the historical side of things. And I know nobody does it on purpose, but when you do hear, folks that are in a leadership position as far as media or putting together statistics or things like that, if they don't have the full picture, then, we really do lose a lot. For one, a lot of players miss out on accomplishments and historical data and stats that they've worked so hard to accomplish. And they have those kind of glazed over by, and I'm not saying everybody does this, but, we tend to focus a lot on, as we should, today's top players. Who are we interested in today, now? But when we start comparing them in a broader sense, it's just incredibly important to really have our stats and figures down, and, or at least leave caveats in there of like, I'm not sure on that. We'll find out the answer next time, or whatever it is. I just see a lot of that going on from players in the past.
Do you have any like examples off the top of your head of something that this could be pertaining to?
Well, I mean, sure. There's, I don't keep a running list or anything, but
but just when
I'm driving or I do have some time, I do like to catch up on podcasts, and it does seem like there's been an awful lot of like, boy, they didn't know about that or remember that. I love what Evan's doing, and he's got a big team right now. Since he's here and I can see he's got broad shoulders, I'll throw out one that we discovered, the somewhere there was maybe a graphic put out there or something like that, and it was Elite Series. It was how many Elite Series podiums, Elite Series or majors, podiums in a row. So podium meaning 1, 2, and 3.
Mhm.
And the stat was saying like Kristen Tatar is going to maybe lapse the record holder in this category, which would have been Juliana Korver at 22. When in fact, Des was like, I wonder, man, I know I had a good stretch in there from 2005 to 2009. Des actually podiumed 32 times.
What do you
I was
have
just
to
about
say
to
for
say,
yourself,
please
Evan?
be a Des Redding stat.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, one, Des did reach out and was like, "Hey, I did have 32 in a row." Just I saw that one, and I 100% appreciate everyone reaching out. And so I reached out to the person who came up with this stat, and it was the most podium streaks to start out your Elite Series and major career. So it's a small caveat to it.
Oh, there's the caveat we're talking about now.
So Des, I again, it's a
awesome.
small caveat, and I fully understand where you're getting at, Jay. Sometimes stats don't always tell the purest story. Sometimes there's one person can be leading this one stat in this category, and then a slight change, and it's this person. You count DNFs, you don't count DNFs. You count when you are a pro, but you haven't accepted cash, or you don't, and you wait until they do accept cash. Like, there's all these different caveats that can change the stats, and we see this across all sports. I mean, LeBron's going for the most points in the NBA, and is that the regular season record? Is it the regular season and postseason? Does it include preseason? It probably doesn't, but there's all these different caveats that you can include in it. So I think it's worth noting that is an incredibly good podium streak. The stat that we posted was to start your career, so it can be tricky, and I understand that. It is not
to start your career. That was verbally put in there.
I think it was termed perfect, as in like you started perfect. I didn't write.
We gotta find the post. Where's the post and who?
Going against a Yeti.
It was one of our
words matter, and the incredible quiz show showed some exposure there as well, right? Words matter. So just a changing of world championships to open world championships, or I'm only talking about world championships that weren't open. I mean, we used to have mixed, both pro, open, age divisions, juniors. They sometimes were at the same world championship.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, words matter. And I'm not picking on you, Evan. Just to hear another one from a different podcast, they were given a huge credit to somebody that had landed a sponsorship from Kavoo. And Kavoo is a wonderful outdoor sportings group that's actually works mostly with river runners and river sports. So to see Kavoo and outside disc golf, like, wow, this player just landed something monumental. Then of course we're like, well, let's see, Des, Felberg, Avery, and Climo were sponsored by Kavoo, in like the middle 2000s. But and nobody knows that, and I guess there's nowhere to actually like look that thing up. But I just maybe having those of you that are putting ourselves out there for absorbing and knowing, just to have that due diligence of really kind of just I guess keep on learning things. And
I'll say it again, the amount of times I've stuck my foot in my mouth on this show in 124 episodes is so many. And as your point is, taking and learning and just doing with it what you can. I appreciate it. I think what you just said was fantastic, because it's coming from a different generation, different time, and the knowledge and information that you have is a lot different perspective. Perspective's massive.
We need to be held more accountable on the media side of things, Matt.
You know what? We may have received a phone call recently from somebody saying, hey, do better.
Yep.
And we'll just leave that name anonymous for now, but one of the best in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Which is like, hey.
So you're not the first.
We need to do a little bit of research on stuff before we really come out. I mean, biggest thing is also we don't want to be a speculation podcast and just saying like, hey, this came about. Let's say 10 different things that really have no meaning to it.
Right.
which is always tough with the off season because of sponsorship moves and
It is
everything.
tough.
And it's just speculate. Speaking of sponsorships, though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you said something in here, at least teasing a little bit to us. There's something for the 2023 season. I'm seeing a thumbs up. What do you got for us?
Yeah, well, in the category, can you teach an old dog new tricks? I mean, we carry a low number of sponsors really on purpose because we really want to support things we really believe in, and not spread ourselves too thin. Just statistically wise, I am very proud. Des and I used to be sponsored by some pretty big outside the sports companies like Maui Gym and Patagonia. Things that, like, wow, no, Paul Macbeth and some of these young players are pulling in all these amazing outside the sports sponsorships, and they are.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been people in the past that have done the same thing, just maybe not on this scale. And
Mm-hmm.
it's an incredible thing to say. But I am proud. I did pick up, both Des and I picked up a new sponsor, Texas company. And I know Double G's Jerky. I love it. But this is Big Country Beef
How do
jerky.
we get some of that? How do we get some of that? Is there a website?
Yeah, absolutely. BCBeefjerky.com. And it's all Texas. And I think the really cool thing is here too is, of course, there's a disc golf connection. And I love Double G. I love his jerky. I'll say that what are the differences? Double G style of jerky is what I consider personally a wet style of jerky.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of always moist. It's got that flavorful moistness to it. And some
Mhm.
people love that.
Mhm.
Personally, I'm a dry jerky guy. So I like my beef jerky to be super dry. I want to be able to kind of gnaw on it and use my, salvatory process to kind of get those juices
It's
going
the
and
Yeti
kind of
way.
really work the meat a Yeti way for sure. So this is kind of a dry-based jerky. Peyton Mansell is the creator, and it's a brand new company out of Texas. We had to be partnership with him. I mean, he played collegiate football, started at Iowa, was the quarterback for Abilene Christian University for 3 years. I didn't even know him until, just a few months ago. He started disc golf in the pandemic playing on the ACU campus course, which I actually designed back in 2012. So that was pretty cool. And then his wife is actually a collegiate scholarship softball player. So is Des. I mean, we had a lot of connections, and he's loving disc golf and making beef jerky. And it's really cool to have two different styles of beef jerky maybe going to be out there, because beef jerky is the easiest, best source of protein, easy to carry on. It's just awesome. And you can see these come in like they're sealed. They're vacuum sealed. So,
Okay.
this baby is, once you rip that open, it's time to eat it. Don't let it sit around. So it's pretty cool.
So on the Nick and Matt show, we've done jerky tastings, and people hear us eating and they're like, I am so hungry for jerky.
Yeah.
What's your favorite flavor of that jerky?
Well, the original speaks for itself,
Okay.
but I kind of like, Sweet Yeti Fire. I got my own hot sauce. I like their peppered jerky. It's not a black pepper. It's more of a spicy pepper.
Man.
And it's, to me, man, that's the perfect heat. And yeah, I love it.
You're making me.
I just want to get some barbecue jerky right now. You guys are talking. You guys
Jerky,
can have
jerky,
all the
jerky.
spicy jerky you want in the world.
Real
I
quick.
don't need it.
Real quick,
We'll
because
send you some.
that's really awesome, by the way. I did see somebody else, I think, sponsored by them this year, a junior and their parent combo, I think, down in that area. But that's awesome. Great to get more in the disc golf world there. Where was I going with this? It was jerky, and then my brain froze. So that's what I'll just leave it with my brain.
Maybe we'll get it back in a few minutes.
Maybe it'll come back in a little bit. So you travel around, you're at events. I've seen you at a few, whether it's the Junior Worlds, Master Worlds combo, other events. Like, how much are you out playing disc golf right now? Okay. For our viewing
I
audience.
just won my first event of the year,
Oh, he
the
won an event.
Longhorn Open.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool.
Dude, that is a sick trophy.
Yeah.
Super sick trophy, right? And it was cool because it was put on by the University of Texas Longhorn Disc Golf Club, which Des and I created the Texas Collegiate Disc Golf Championship 11 years ago when college disc golf just started. And we sold out. We had 16 different colleges and universities represented this year. So I had to go and support these guys. It was out at Moody's Disc Golf Ranch. oh my goodness, I played a 9,500 foot course and an 8,800 foot course in a day, and whew, my
That's a
niece
lot of
felt
disc
that.
golf.
But
Yeah.
it's at a private course, and it's just so gorgeous. It was a great weekend. So my season's starting. Got a first A tier coming up at the Victoria Open. Texas disc golf is just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, we are to the point now where we're having 5 to even 10 sanctioned events any given weekend, and each one of those events are filled up with 100 plus people. So options are endless. It's pretty cool.
Okay, the question came to me because
See, there you go.
I was stuck thinking about how wonderful eating some jerky would be, and you had mentioned the Yeti fire whatever sauce, right? You had a name for it.
Sweet Yeti pie.
The chat talked about it earlier. Comments came in. I love hot sauce. Like, I grew up with my mom collecting hot sauce. Like, she would get all the bottles, everything from like murder your mouth, like literally. You can't do a toothpick dab without just like pouring sweat, to like just the really good flavors. You can empty a bottle in one sitting. Where do you put this hot sauce you're making? Like, where does it fall?
Yeah, so I'm a hothead as well, but I like food more than I like sweating and having snot bubbles. So I was really out to create a very complex flavor zone that complements everything. And so I've got a great college friend up in Cedar Falls, Iowa, and Lee Cronkite is really the master sauceman. He's got his own burrito shop. He grows peppers. He's got homemade salsas, and he changes them up every single day. So when he started creating hot sauce, I was like, man, I got a dream of a hot sauce. And so we got together. It took forever to kind of nail down the profile and then start adding the heat. And of course, the heat level can get up amazingly quick, as you know, and it can vary even from batch to peppers. But once we kind of nailed down the Yeti recipe, Lee's been able to do it. It's all small batch, so unfortunately, I don't know if it'll ever be a mass production. But when it does come in, I've got so many customers and repeat customers at the DDO now.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 3 cases pre-sold almost every time before the
Nice.
before the event even happens.
I'll buy 3 cases. I don't know what they go for bottle, but man.
Yeah, wait a second on that. Find out the price first.
No, I'm here to support whatever it goes to. No. But I love hot sauce. Intern Ben, he always talks about downing a bottle of hot sauce if we get enough likes on the video. So, all right. Made it to this point in the show. We've gone a little while, but we have a game lined up. And I don't know, you've been watching the show for a while, actually. I know you've commented here and there. Have you ever seen the segment Judge That Disc Golfer?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Maybe. He's like,
it's an OG.
Yeah, this goes way back. So if you're not familiar, that's totally cool.
I do know what you're talking about.
You're going to be one of our judges. The simple rule is that we're going to interview this player who we've never met, and then we're going to ask questions to kind of get to know him a little bit. And in fact, if you have a question to get to know him a little bit, you have something you want to know, we're going to ask it on the front end. Then we're going to ask him a set of questions where we're going to pause and say, we have to guess how he answers. Okay, we have to guess how he answers. And we'll put points up. We're gonna have a lot of fun with this, and so let's get right to it. I love doing this live. Never met the individual. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Judge That Disc Golfer, the game show where you judge a disc golfer you've never met.
All right, let's see how this is working here. He's been in the green room a while. Let's see if his audio is good. Go ahead and introduce yourself. What's your name?
What's up, guys? I'm Keelan.
All
What
right.
up, Keelan?
Hold on a second. This song says, judge a disc golfer you've never met. And Nick just goes, what's up, Keelan? Like he knows. Is this true, Keelan? Does Nick know you?
It is true.
Okay, it is true.
I rarely see him, though.
Okay.
I feel like I'm rarely down in Virginia right now.
What we're going to do real quick, because I'm hearing this audio glitch in your sound. If you don't mind closing out, like close down the browser, come right back in with that same link I sent you. We'll restart it over for you. You're good. I'm going to talk to Nick in the meantime. Nick,
All right.
you've taught this individual disc golf. Is that true?
Yeah, so Keelan hit me up. I think it was last year or the year before when I moved down to Virginia. He's in the Virginia area.
Don't
that
tell
I'm
us
in.
too much.
Yeah. But anyway, so he hit me
No,
up. I'd
tell
seen
us
him at
everything.
leagues, seen him at putting leagues, stuff like that. And when I was teaching lessons a decent amount more, he hit me up one time. It was just like, hey, let's go out. So we went out, played around, worked on some form stuff, some putting drills, everything like that. And
Okay.
so we'll see if he's been practicing.
I think this is going to be funny if Nick actually knows the individual and we beat him. That's the goal tonight. Okay, that's the goal.
That-
So
all the pressure is on Nick.
It
Like
is.
every question you get wrong,
Yeah.
Nick, just remember, like,
Well,
we don't know him and we're getting it right.
the thing is I could say, like, you know, if we talk about how far can you throw now, I have an answer of the last time I seen him play. If he's been practicing, it should be more than that now. So hopefully
We'll
my
find out.
numbers are lower and he ends up being better
okay,
than I'm thinking.
let's find out. So first of all, again, if any of you have questions, get to know him better, and I missed some that you'd like to know, we'll let you ask. So Keelan, we know your name. Where are you from?
I am from Lynchburg, Virginia.
Lynchburg. Okay, awesome. That's why Nick's down there giving you lessons. Are you a member of the PDGA?
I am.
Okay. And what's your PDGA number?
It is 162179.
162, Jay. What's your number, Jay?
I miss that.
What's your number, Jay? What's your PDGA?
15864.
Okay. A little less there. Okay.
Well, hey, Keelan, what's your favorite course? Is it New London Tech? Have you played there? Do you enjoy that course?
Yeah, I kind of enjoy it. Kind of kicks my butt, but
Okay.
yeah,
Well, then
it's
let's
still
ask.
fun to play.
What's your rating then?
I am currently, I think, 845.
Okay.
Might be a little lower.
Which is why you said New London Tech kicks your butt, it sounds like. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
sure you could be 950 and have it kick your butt too, but there you go. All right. Do you play in tournaments?
I played in maybe 6 or 7 last year. I
Okay.
plan to play in a little more this year. Hopefully.
What's your best finish and in which division? Do you know?
I play in rec. I think my best finish might have been 7th.
Okay. 7th. On average round, pick your favorite course. Do you usually shoot under par?
No.
He's like, Nick's in the room. I can't lie. Okay. He said no. Do you have a favorite disc golf professional that you'd say you're the biggest fan of?
I do.
Okay. And who is that?
I would say Paul.
Okay.
Macbeth.
Paul Macbeth. And then let's ask this question. What's a hobby besides disc golf that you enjoy? It might tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, I mean, I was born an athlete, so pretty much anything that involves sports.
Okay. Do you have a favorite besides disc golf that you're like, hey, if I'm not disc golfing, I'll be doing that?
Probably basketball.
Okay.
What is your height and wingspan?
Ooh.
I am only like 5'6",
Okay.
and I couldn't tell you my wingspan.
Probably
honestly.
about the same.
Yeah.
Unless you have really long arms.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't give me a number. Oh yeah, Jay, go ahead.
When you throw a snowball, how often do you hit the target that you're trying to aim at?
He's in Virginia. They barely know
How
about
often
snow.
do you make a snowball?
Well,
So-
you know, when we do see snow, I might hit it a few times, but
Okay. Don't give me a number. Okay. But give me an answer of like yes or no to this. Have you ever measured the distance of your throws?
I have.
Okay, you've actually measured it. How did you measure it? Do you remember?
I used U-disc.
Okay, U-disc. The reason I
Yeah.
asked this question is so we're all kind of going, okay, all right, this might help us with questions coming up soon here. So let's ask the first question. Remember, this is how Keelan answers, not what is right or wrong. What is right or wrong is how he answers, meaning is what it is. So how far, Keelan, can you throw a disc? Now, do not answer. If you have a phone or you're on your phone, never mind. Get that number in your head and hold it. Integrity is key here. Nick, we're not going to have you answer first for this one. We're going to start on the other side and go to Evan. Evan, answer. How far is he going to say he can throw a disc?
Let's say, I guess it's plus or minus 9 feet. So I'm going to say 339.
This is, again, what he's going to answer. This is the tough part, Jay. What's he going to say?
412.
412. All right. I'm going to play the game, and I'm going to say 360. Nick, you're up.
I'll go with 300 on the dot.
300 on the dot. Keelan, you're up, man.
I wanted that lower end.
Keelan, what's the answer?
My farthest throw I've thrown was 330.
Wait.
Ooh.
What'd you say, Evan? 329?
I did 339.
Okay, you got
plus
it.
your 9 feet. I was thinking 330, and I went up to 339 as the joke, but it worked out.
Wow. Good job, Evan. Good job.
See, that means Keelan's been practicing the stuff that I told him. Instead of me learning how to throw further, I can help teach other people learn how to throw further.
That's what coaches do. You can't do, you teach. Okay, never mind. Let's see. I just realized, how old are you, Keelan?
I am 23.
Okay, at least he's 23. If he was much younger, still some of these questions still might fall down a little bit. We'll have to see. If your average disc golf round, your average one, you're like, hey, I just played whatever, not my best, not my worst. Average disc golf round was described by using the names of candy. What candy would it be? Hot Tamales, Rocky Road, Laffy Taffy, Mr. Goodbar, or Payday? Those are your candy options. They're all pretty good. It's candy, but which one describes your round? Pick it. Yeah, he's writing it down. Perfect. Jay, we're starting with you. What do you think he's going to choose for his average disc golf round candy description?
Well, he was really honest with his throw there. I didn't sense a lot of internet distance coming from him. So the kid's well-rounded. I think he's realizing that he's at the point in this game where he's got the rocky road going. He's enjoying some great shots, but he's hitting a tree once in a while.
Okay, I like Rocky Road, but there's always a part of me that has to change it because for some reason that's just the way things go on this game. I'm like, I gotta change it, and I get it wrong. But I like Rocky Road. I'll put it out there. I'm gonna say Laffy Taffy. That's my answer. Nick, you're up.
I was going to go with the Laffy Taffy one as well.
Oh, baby. And you've played it.
I just think it's like a funny, it's like I'd even call my rounds Laffy Taffy sometimes. So,
all right. Keelan, give it to us. What candy? No, we didn't get Evan? We skipped Evan.
No.
All right.
We skipped the guy who was the 1 point.
You just didn't get to me yet.
All right,
I was last in this order. Which, first off, is Rocky Road an ice cream flavor, or is that actually a candy that the ice cream flavor is named after?
That's a good question.
I don't know, but I'm going to say Rocky Road as well.
That is a good question. The chat can tell us if that's candy or an ice cream. Either way. Keelan, what are you choosing?
It is Rocky Road.
Oh, Jay. Man, he knew it.
Look at that.
And
I liked Yeti's description of it, and that's why I almost went with Rocky Road, because I was like, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but why is it when it makes sense, I say, no, that can't be it? Yeah. I do that every time.
Yep.
It's same thing with quizzes. You get multiple choice or whatever, like you said, or someone said this. I don't know.
You're so smart that you're just not smart.
Oh, you said this about the trivia show.
What?
You said that during the trivia show. You're like, it's like when before a quiz, you're like, it's
oh
easy.
yeah, exactly. Like I could know all the answers before the quiz, but put me on a timer and I actually have to get a grade on it. Oh yeah,
bomb it. Okay, here we go. If you are ready to hit the tour, Keelan, so it's coming up. I mean, a couple of weeks. You're ready, all right? We pumped you up. What brand would you choose as your main sponsor from the following list? Now, you have to understand the monetary value. What these are worth is exactly the same. Okay, so one's not worth more than another. But which brand are you choosing? They're all going to pay your entry fees and enough to travel to the events and lodging. Okay, which brand do you choose? Nike, McDonald's, Red Bull, or Planet Fitness? Yeah, he's going to write it down. Nike, McDonald's, Red Bull, or Planet Fitness. I'm going now. It's my turn. I say Nike. Nick.
Nike.
All right, Evan.
Oh, since you guys went Nike, I'm not. No, I'm just joking. I had this one from the start. I'm going Red Bull.
Oh, nice. Baby. Jay.
Yep, and I'm going to go with Evan because I thought Nike. I was like, you know what? Anybody younger than his generation would go Nike, but Red Bull all of a sudden I think he's
Made a
going
splash.
superstar.
I know, but when
Going
he,
the energy drink.
I know, and
I just think Nike has so much to offer.
And he said like his probably favorite sport is basketball, and Nike has a pretty good hold in basketball.
Ooh.
Okay,
That's a good point. That's a
Keelan,
good point.
what did you choose?
It is Nike.
Yes, we're on the board, baby.
This is why we were decent partners when we played the trivia game show the other night.
Oh man, yeah, but partners on the trivia show should be more like doubles in disc golf. You kind of hope when one does bad, the other
one
good.
does. We had a
kinda
couple
did
of
that,
those.
yeah. All right, moving on. If you were to choose unfavorable weather for a tournament, your next tournament, what type of weather are you going to choose? Like you're saying, I want to play in that weather out of these three. Rain, and I always have to describe it, significant rain. It's hard to stay dry. You got your umbrella, but it's still hard to stay dry. It's raining. Snow, it's accumulating on the ground as you're playing, like inches. Let's say there's 3 inches already and it's still accumulating while you're playing. Or wind, and the wind is pretty excessive. Let's say 20 miles an hour plus, and it's hard to throw a good shot. What unfavorable weather are you choosing for your next tournament round? He's writing it down. Give us a thumbs up once you got it. Nick, you're up. What did he choose?
I'm going to go with rain.
Rain, baby. We know what intern Ben wouldn't choose. I hope he's in the chat. Evan, you're up.
I'm going to roll with wind.
Captain Planet here. Earth, rain, wind, fire. Okay. Jay,
okay.
What do you got?
Yeah, I'm my career I've always been known as a mudder. If the conditions get nasty, I get better. But I don't like wind.
Same. I was actually going to ask Yeti what like his favorite.
I just think he does. I think he's never experienced snow a bunch like you guys had talked about. He didn't know the snowball, so he doesn't even know. He's afraid of the ice and snow. I'm going wind.
I am also going wind for very similar reasons. The snow scares him. He doesn't get it enough. He stays inside or something. And the rain,
or he doesn't know how bad it is.
Yeah, and the rain. Now that we're talking about me, the rain is just miserable to me. It's just miserable. Give me the wind or the snow.
Well, this is why Ben chose rain, is because he would never play in the rain. So he didn't know how bad it was until we started making him play in the rain. And then he realized how bad it was.
And now he's not here to defend himself right now. He's in the chat screaming our names.
I love you, Ben. You're great.
Keelan, what did you choose as your preferred weather out of those options?
I chose wind.
Yes.
Dang it.
All right, so that's Yeti and myself. Evan, you didn't say wind, did you?
I got wind.
Oh, you did.
No,
okay.
I did.
Not Nick, though.
Nope.
Not Nick.
So
yeah.
Evan's holding the lead here with 3 over me and Jay with 2 and Nick with 1. All right, let's keep going. How many putts go in from the circle's edge, Keelan, if I gave you a stack of 10 putters? Now, everyone always wants to know the details here. This is flat level terrain. There's no wind. It's consistent throughout. You're on the outside edge of the circle or on the line. You can't jump. You got to stand still, okay? 10 putters. How many go in? We give you a stack. All right. We're back to Evan, but we're going to let him give us a thumbs up once he writes a number down.
Oh, I thought Nick was going first. He went first last time. Oh man, I was really banking on this for the putting one. I think my man has been working on the distance. Circle's edge is tough. I don't think he's gonna be as tough on himself as he might be. I'm gonna say 6.
6 is the number to always pick. It's always the number.
I'm judging that because I don't know if he says 6, I don't know about it. That sounds harsh though. But like I'm not making 6 from Circle's edge.
All right, as long as you do that clarifier. All right, Jay, what do you think he's gonna say?
Well, if he takes any advice from me tonight, it's that you can always repair the most strokes or gain the most strokes on the green. So even though I'm going to say that you are emitting 50% from now, 5 out of 10 from the ring, next time I see you, that'll be 8 out of 10. So 5 out of 10.
Oh, there go both of my answers. I was going to say.
To help clarify for this, Jake, 'cause I didn't tell you this. We've talked about this in other versions of this game. You can, for this question, answer the same. Do you want to go with what Evan said, or do you want to stick with the 50?
I'm going to give him 50-50.
Okay. Oh, yeah. 50-50 is good, man. You almost swayed me with your own answer. I'm going, he wants to do the 60, though. You're right, Evan. He wants to do the 60%. I'm going with 60. I like the 60. Nick, you're up.
I like to consider myself a decent putter. I like to say that I can teach people how to be decent putters. So if Keelan was working on the tips that I've given him, he's at 7 out of 10 right now.
7 out of 10. Jay, by the way, world champ putter, right? How many times? 5.
5-time world champion putter.
Awesome.
Insane.
Absolutely awesome. So Keelan, he's either judging you very accurately or not, but it doesn't matter. He's a world champ. He's a world champ. He can do it himself. Keelan, what was the number you picked?
I wrote down 6.
Yes,
Let's go.
But Evan, you're
now,
perfect.
is that right though? Prove it. I got one wrong, but I'm down that. But hey, Nick taught you how to putt, so that makes me believe it more. But I'm just saying, like us amateurs, 6 out of 10 from Circle's Edge is tough. Like if you're doing that, that's good.
Great putting.
I mean, it's like he said for his longest throw, it was, I've thrown this far once. So, I mean, in putting, it can kind of be that too. You're like, I'm pretty sure I could do this. You know what I mean? Like I could do 6 out of 10. I think that's probably where it's coming from. All right.
As long as you can make the comeback on that 4 out of 10 that missed.
What we're going to do here is one more question. If it ends up being a tie where I get it correctly and Evan doesn't, which is really the only scenario here. Not the only scenario. Like Jay could tie me, etc. But that's the only scenario for a playoff or a tie. Yeah. I have one more question. Otherwise, this is the last one. All right, here we go, Keelan. If you were to get a disc golf tattoo, which legally you could do for years now, which would it be? By the way, do you have any disc golf or not disc golf? Do you have any tattoos or ink?
I do not.
Okay, so this would be your first. So if you were to get your first tattoo and it was going to be a disc golf tattoo, what would it be? And here's your options. Which one stands out to you? Single basket. The doink putt, which is going to be a basket and a putter hitting the front rim. Okay, and it's going to be tattooed on you. Is it going to be the cartoon? Now, I don't know. You're 23. The Tasmanian Devil. Okay, does that stand out to you? You know what I'm talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
He's doing a 360 drive. All right. So Taz is spinning and throwing. All right. Or is it going to be a disc golf phrase? So it could be any disc golf phrase you think up, but it's just a phrase. Or it could be like grip it and rip it or death putt. Right. It could be any disc golf phrase, or like I gave you an example there of a few. Or is it the single basket, the doink putt, the cartoon Tasmanian Devil 360 drive, or disc golf phrase? Which is he choosing? And I believe it's actually going to be Jay first with this one, if I'm not mistaken. So Jay, what tattoo?
I have mine written down first of all, just to be clear. This is the backside.
Okay, good. What tattoo is he picking, Jay?
Evan actually drew you're guessing the phrase that he's going to tattoo? That's pretty incredible.
We've tried that for bonus points before. Yeah.
To get the points, you just have to say phrase.
Yeah.
If you think he's going to choose phrase.
Yeah, you can just say phrase. Yeah. Okay, so he's choosing it's going to be a phrase. I feel like, man, this is tough. I feel like it's going to be a single basket. He's never had a tattoo before. Maybe he's go all out kind of guy, but could be just simple, something on the wrist. I don't know. All right, Nick.
I'm going to say the Tasmanian Devil.
All right. Do you know something about him that we don't know?
No, I mean...
All right, Keelan, this is the moment of truth.
Wait, you gotta do Evan again.
For Evan again. I'm trying.
I exist.
He's not used to doing 4 people as judges.
That's okay. But you can end the show and give me the win because I wrote single basket.
Dang it.
So
and he did write it down, so he's not playing a game with me. It is what it is, but let's see what happened. Keelan, what's the answer?
I chose disc golf phrase.
A phrase?
Disc golf phrase.
So there you go.
What would the phrase be?
Yeah.
That I do not know yet.
But it would be a phrase.
He's debating.
Because if his phrase was going to be single basket, then Evan just blew it up.
That'd be incredible. But I'll take the L on that question.
Good job, Evan.
The win overall.
We, Jay, have had interesting guests that we've judged over the years, and we had some weird phrases come out. We're like, what's the phrase? And they say something. You're like, wow.
The weirdest one was
grip it and rip it.
Yeah, the
on his neck.
artist guy who was like, I want to put it on my neck, grip it and rip it. And Matt and I were kind of just like, yo, what did we just hear?
Yeah, there was some weird ones over the years. But Keelan, thank you very much for coming on and being judged. I hope you don't mind being judged by a 5-time world putting champion, but we know you signed up for this. Anything you want to say before you go?
Thank you all for having me. I definitely enjoyed it.
Sweet.
All
Thanks
right.
for coming on, Keelan.
All right, Keelan.
Thank y'all.
Thanks. Have
See
a
you
good
around,
evening.
bud.
Well, hopefully that was a little bit of fun. I know it changes it up. It's the long off season. Nick and I were talking right before the show. We're like, man, we're so close to like some really good, finally back to the competition, being able to talk about really relevant competition news. And we're getting close. But people like Jay coming in to talk about things that we didn't know about, things that are really important for disc golf. That's what carries us through this offseason. And we thank you very much, Jay, for that. Is there anything that we missed talking about in our wrap out here? Or you feel like we covered a lot of good things? What are you thinking?
We did. But I do actually have a pretty awesome thing coming up that is somewhat disc golf related because my little brother plays.
Oh,
He plays disc golf. He has got his him and his writing. They've been making movies, partners at school. Went to college together. It's amazing. They both have families now, and they're partners in the industry in Hollywood. So there's a movie coming out March 10th. It's called 65.
This is the Adam Driver movie, right? That he's in it. Yeah, I saw you guys all post about that, and I was like, oh, that's insane. That's just so cool that your brother does all that. But anyways, keep going.
Yes, Adam Driver and Ariana Greenblatt is the young actress in it. But it's the whole premise is Adam Driver is captain of a transport and in space, and all of a sudden a catastrophic crash into a planet that's unknown reveals itself to be Earth, but 65 million years ago. So pretty cool. Him and Scott wrote the movie Quiet Place. That was kind of their big break. They wrote that, and it was obviously turned into a movie there.
Wait, your brother helped write A Quiet Place?
Co-writer, yep, him and Scott Beck,
Dude,
Beck and
that's
Woods.
insane.
That's wild.
Those movies are so good. The first and second one.
I can tell you guys, I mean, we're 14 years difference, but while I was out throwing footballs and catching and blocking and building forts and blah, 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 he was filming everything with his buddies, creating stories, always doing stuff like this. And I mean, talk about following your dream and passion from a little guy. We're just all so proud of him because he really has put in his time. And it's just an absolute dream come true for him, but really for all of us, man. It's great. I mean, he gave me a great video doing sound at Lucas Ranch, so the big George Lucas's ranch that has the Sky or Sound Village in there and everything like that. But he's riding his bike, parking his car at the gate, riding bike, filming, like, look, they've got disc golf here at Skywalker Ranch, and I'm just like, oh my
Are you serious?
How cool is this? So he's exposed disc golf to almost everybody that he's worked with. We would send him discs when he was doing some things for the crew and stuff to play disc golf in between and things like that. So who knows? Maybe we'll see Adam Driver on a driver before too long. But it's super cool, man. I'm so excited.
Wow.
That's awesome. I totally forgot about that until you just brought it up again, but I remember seeing everyone posting about it, and I was like, I love watching movies, watching TV shows. It's one of my favorite things to do. And then to hear that he helped write The Quiet Place or A Quiet Place is awesome, because I loved the storyline, and I liked how the second one, they kind of flip-flopped around, and it just super, super cool concepts. And like I said, I love watching movies, so...
Absolutely. That's really cool, man. Thanks for sharing that. And thanks for your time on the show. I mean, honestly, our show's a pretty long podcast, but I think you were down for it, or else you wouldn't have come on. You knew.
Yeah, totally. And because this is a disc golf podcast, and we went to Hollywood here. I'll give you one more tie-in here. I do want to point out that this movie is produced by Sam Raimi, which is Spider-Man franchise, and then one of my favorites of all time, Evil Dead. Unbelievable.
Okay.
And then the music soundtrack score is done by none other than Danny Elfman, who, if you don't know him my age, with this incredible 80s band called Oingo Boingo, you'll know him from creating the soundtrack for The Simpsons and for Nightmare Before Christmas and everything that Tim Burton does. The Wednesday show is all his music. So just working with some pretty cool things. But I did want to tie in that. So when Des and I first started playing, we started running tournaments from the get-go. And, of course, hey, we're going to do a junior division. And, Brian, you're playing. And, Brian, I want you to get, 5 or 10 of your little buddies, and you're going to come out to this tournament. I don't care how much experience you are. We're going to expose you all to disc golf. And, of course, they loved it. So, of course, we'd have them back the next year. And out of all Brian's buddies, his best friend, Matt Schlabach, now a member of Team Discmania, has 2 stores in Iowa, Titan Disc Golf in Cedar Rapids and Des Moines. And he is a direct product from us running tournaments and my little brother playing disc golf. So pretty cool full circle there, too.
That's awesome. That's cool where it brings you. I mean, just the circle of disc golf in and of itself, and the connections that you meet, the people that you meet at this point with all of us traveling around a decent amount. It's cool where disc golf has taken everyone.
Absolutely. And my mouth's still watering over that jerky and hot sauce, and I'm trying to wrap the show up so I can run upstairs and get something to satisfy that need. But no, in all seriousness, thank you for coming on and sharing everything that you did. Congratulations with the success with Edge, 20-year anniversary. The things that you have going on, the jerky, the stories that you have to tell, your time. Thank you for your time on the PDGA committee. On to different and other things as you've been doing. Still involved in a great way. Appreciate that. The investment, I could go on and on. The investment in the junior side, always commenting and reaching out. You've called me. I'm just trying to give you what you deserve. You called me at periods of times, knowing my investment with junior disc golf and trying to get insights that I had. And I was a nobody, but that's the kind of guy Jay is. And we really appreciate it, Jay. Thank you very much for your time on the show. Good luck out there. We'll be rooting for you, your wife, and all that you got going on there.
Yeah, thanks, guys. At Educational Disc Golf and Edge Disc Golf on Facebook.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jay. We really, really appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
Guys, keep doing what you're doing. Evan, keep those stats going, man. You guys are making the next level thing, man. I'm giving you a hard time, but it's all for everybody to get better, man, and you guys are killing it.
All right.
Always appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Peace out, Jay.
Peace.
You had your stat guy, Evan, was his name Tim, or there was someone in the chat that's like, that was my bad. He was like, that was my bad. I used the word perfect or something, perfect something. So he took credit for it in the chat.
That was Steve. No, he
Steve,
put together all those stats and made the graphics. And so
it's a word
maybe
game.
It wasn't word of the best. We've all been there before.
Absolutely.
But like there's caveats to everything. I mean, you saw with the charity show last night where the one that sticks out is where I said Paul Macbeth. Well, it was how many worlds playoffs has Paul Macbeth been in. And it's an interesting part about how disc golf is, where like one, it's really cool how it's so equitable between men and women, but we also have it with all the other fields with it too. We have the age protected, we have the juniors, we have the amateurs, we have the age protected amateur. Like I just said age protected, but there's age protected amateur and age protected pro.
Yes,
there's so many different divisions to take care of that. Sometimes when you make stats, you got to make so many qualifiers. And so a lot of times when we make stats for the pro scene, we really try to cut it off to MPO and FPO. Just because it's easier, just because that's what most people are watching and what they're looking for stats for. But of course, isn't the only thing. We sometimes make stats for all different parts, all different parts of the sport.
That's an interesting point. That's an interesting point. Like
when you're trying to make like a catchy stat, you really have to be quick to the point. Because if I'm going to have a tweet that's going to be like how many world's playoffs has Paul Macbeth been in MPO, like that's quick. But if I have to do all these qualifiers all the time, it's really hard to do.
That's a good point.
And get it under a character limit or get it into a quick sound bite so that way people can hear it. So you see it all in other sports. It's hard to be perfect and always be the most qualifying. I said the same example with LeBron James. Like he already passed the points record. I'm pretty sure he passed the regular season and postseason points record.
If it's combined together,
now he's going for the regular season points record. I think that's what it is. And so like you have all these different stories in different ways. You already have the qualifiers. You do have to kind of share it best you can. There's always more you can do with that.
It's a good point. I think you do stat. I'm stumbling here because you do stat check. Yeah, you do fact check, stat check people who are putting out stats. But if someone was doing it about like the NFL, the NFL's the pro scene. Like they're not going to be like, oh, like college or high school. Like if it's an NFL, like tweeting, like, so I kind of feel like in a way, like you are the disc golf pro tour tweeting. But then again, there's MPO, FPO, disc golf where it's at right now. It is kind of unique to your point.
Yeah, it's a tough place to be in. I will say this in a positive spin to Jay sharing his info with me. And I thought it was really cool about the Kavu thing where that's I only knew him being a new company sponsoring Maria Oliva's bag for the first time. Apparently they've been sponsoring people in the past. Like how would anyone know that without people sharing it? So
people sharing it, and back then none of them were on social media. I mean, it wasn't even a thing back then. Yeah. So when we talk about the sponsorships that they had back in the day, you can watch the 80s or 90s World Championship and the whole thing sponsored by Pizza Hut. Or like Wendy's or Burger King or stuff like that.
Yeah, like Coca-Cola or something.
Yeah. Dude, Coca-Cola needs to get back in the sport. I want to be their ambassador right now. If anyone in our chat or listening to the show,
Ricky Wysocki, Kristen Tatar, Paul Macbeth, Nick
Carr, dude, I will promote Coca-Cola better out.
Just start wearing it. That's how you get. Just wear it. Be the Coca-Cola player, and they're like, you know what? We need to get that guy sponsored.
To swing back to the point though, if we want these new, let's say, content creators, because the Nick and Matt show has been around for what, 2.5 years now?
I think this is our third full season.
Yeah, pushing 3 years now.
We just finished our third season. Still fairly new
compared to I'm gonna say like Terry Miller producing content since like what, the 90s. Like
look at Nick's face; he's surprised.
I was just thinking of how long we've been doing it. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
But let's say we're the new content creators, and like I'll consider Statmando as a new one. We got to have something to go off of. We're not creating this out of thin air. Like we're building off of building blocks that have already been built. So if there are things that are like just not known, you have to share them. If you're from let's say the older crowd, I'm not calling you old, but the older crowd who's been here a while, who are the veterans of sharing cool stuff, you got to share it. You got to be posting all this stuff, all the encyclopedias that all these people have in their brains, the Jay Reddings, the Des Redding, Terry Miller, AJ Risley last night. Y'all better be just sharing these all the time. Give all these people the cool information that you have stored in. Do your best you can to do, as we're doing our best to share this information to the newer people, even though we're still fairly new.
Yeah, and I just did the math on that because Nick and I are like, how long have we been doing this? And Evan, the stat man, I think got it right. It's like, just under 3 years. I think if we hit like May, then it's 3 years completed. So yeah, we're pretty close.
We've done, but we've done over 2 years worth of episodes because
we started in 2020.
Yeah.
So then 2020, you can do the math. This is
20 to 21.
This is our
I mean, realistically, though, if this is episode
22, 22 to 23. So realistically, it's been a 3 years worth, but not
episodes wise. We're not
again. There's a caveat. How do you define it?
Well, we started.
Do you define it by episodes, or do you define it by we started March 15th of 2020, which is actually probably.
You hurt my
feelings
you should
just
too,
count
Evan.
Minutes you're on air. So 120. Let's say even you go 2 hours. So 120, 240 hours. That's what, 10 days. You guys have only been around for 10 days. Like you can do this all
around for 10
I think I have
days.
more time put into World of Warcraft than that.
Let's see here. If I go look at our SoundCloud, which is where we host, they usually give me some cool stats for listening time, but I don't know. It must be missing.
Well, I guess while we're on a little we're coming towards the end of our show, but we haven't really talked about any tournaments because there really hasn't been a lot of tournaments. But 2 tournaments that went on this past weekend that I know of off the top of my head was the Maricopa Open, which is out in Arizona. A lot of the Arizona people play that tournament, and a lot of people traveling to start the year out west go to the Maricopa Open. I think it was an A tier this year. Shout out to Anthony Barella getting first place in it. Brand new elite team sponsored player with Discraft. Andrew Marweed getting second place. He had just won the Shelly Sharp Memorial, got second place at this one. And then Adam Hammis, another Discraft touring pro, got third place. So pretty awesome to see that. And then Jennifer Allen and Kat Murch were first and second at Maricopa. But then
Sammy Keddington. Sammy Keddington was third. Is that where you're going?
Third. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. But then out in California, and because Cupcake's an awesome dude, it's fun to hang out with, kid crushes a mile, Cupcake actually had a come from behind victory and won the La Mirada Open with, I think, Luke Sampson coming in second place. Off the top of my head, though, I don't remember who won FPO. So if someone remembers, please write it out so I can shout it out. But just cool. Two tournaments that actually happen a lot, every single year. It's kind of the start of the season for those players, which is, pretty cool. I would love to go play some tournaments out in that neck of the woods this time of year. It's fun. I think the last round that I played, Evan and I just went out to Meadowbrook Orchards. I got to see some of the new changes there, which was really, really fun. If you are in the Massachusetts area, please check out Meadowbrook Orchards. Such a fun place to play. Dave has been so awesome with designing and creating an amazing course for people to go out to.
I think he's designed a little bit of it.
Yeah,
not the original layout.
I know Bob was, I guess, one of the main designers of it. But yeah, I'm sure Dave has collabed in it.
He's picking up quick. He's catching up to me. Not quite your level, Nick. But I want to swing it back to the Maricopa Open, though. I really want to make a note about Jen Allen winning an FPO over Kat Mersch this time. Last time she beat Maria Oliva. She's just like picking off these upcoming, I don't want to say upcoming because they're already there, but upcoming stars, young guns in FPO. She's there just like, nah, I have FP40 major titles, but I'm going to beat you in FPO still, which is really cool. Are we doing stat or fiction, or should I just drop some of the stats?
Drop the stats. Drop a couple because we're running down to the last minutes.
Jen Allen, she's eligible for FP40. She has won multiple FP40 majors. She has 6 times as many FPO wins since she started playing FP40. That is since the start of 2020. She has 24 FPO wins compared to 6 FP40 wins in that time, which that's mind-blowing. You think of her winning these FP40 majors, but she's still cleaning up in FPO. And Andrew Marweed, he's on a 5 event podium streak. So although he didn't pick up the win, he picked up the win last week. My stat or fiction was that pretty much his longest streak of his career. Gotcha. But that's not true. He's had some 6s, some 1 up to 9. So he has done better, longer podium streaks in the past. But yeah, of course, Anthony Barella taking it down in MPO as he got to, which is really cool. He's been dominating these Arizona preseason events for the last few years.
Yeah. Excited to see Anthony kind of get into stride with things. It's always the fun turnaround going into a new bag sponsorship or a new disc manufacturer sponsorship, and just seeing how the players are going to do with it is just really fun. I cannot wait for the disc golf season to start up. I've had my Disc Golf Network subscription rolling over the last few years, and so I just can't wait to watch Vegas and everything like that and really get the season back underway. So
we've made it to the end of the show. I'm hearing intern Ben rapping in my head. It's the Nick and Matt show. Bring your bros. He was remember that? That was awesome. Yeah. So no, we made it to the end. I feel like it's been a while, but it's just 2 days ago we did the trivia show, and then Nick, last week you were in studio. You're going to be here a few more times, but go ahead and close this out, man.
Thank you everyone for tuning into episode 124 tonight. I had an awesome guest of Jay Yeti Redding, one of the coolest players out in disc golf. And just doing incredible things with the Edge Disc Golf program. Look for any disc golf charity or any charity in general and look at what you can do to contribute and help them out. It's such an awesome feeling. Evan, Statmando, thank you guys for running that on Saturday night. But once again, thank you everybody for tuning in on episode 124. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube channel. Check us out on all your favorite podcast platforms. We'll see you next Monday. Tell someone you love them.
That's right. Nick, you're awesome. Evan, you're awesome. Ben, we'll see you soon. Peace out, awesome. Everybody.
The Nick and Matt Show, a disc golf podcast designed for you, the disc golfer. Find the Nick and Matt Show on your favorite podcast platforms or join the conversation live on YouTube.